Hello, in this video I'm going to be introducing you to imaginary numbers. So I'll start off with sort of why it's useful for us to have them, and then we'll look at a few different example questions involving them, and I'll timestamp all of these different parts below so you can just skip through to whichever part you want to see. If this video is useful, then please do like and subscribe. Okay, so to introduce imaginary numbers, let's take a look at the following equation. X squared plus 1 is equal to 0. And let's say we want to solve this equation. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is subtract 1 from both sides, like so. And then we're going to square root both sides, and we get that x is going to be equal to the square root of negative 1. And it's at this point that you would probably say, well, we can't take the square root of a negative number, and so this equation has no solutions. When really what we should be saying is this equation has no real solutions, but what it does have is imaginary solutions. And the way we find these is by defining I such that it's equal to the square root of negative 1. Okay, and this here is our imaginary number, I. And so now we can say, well, this equation has two solutions. It has x being equal to plus or minus I. And by defining I, what we've done now is extend our number system, because previously we had the real numbers, which hopefully you're familiar with. And now by having I, we have complex numbers, which I'm going to talk about a bit more in the next video. So let's now take a look at some questions to see how we can work with this new number I. So the first one is I cubed. Well, we know from the previous question, I squared was equal to negative 1. And so really I'm just doing negative 1 multiplied by I, which is going to just give us negative I. Part B wants us to work out I to the power of 4. Well, I to the power of 3 was negative I, and I'm just multiplying this by I. And so what we get is minus I squared. Well, I squared is negative 1, so we get negative 1. We end up with positive 1. And finally, let's work out I to the power of 5. Well, I to the power of 4 was 1. Multiplying that by I just gives us I. In terms of addition and subtraction, it works basically the same as any other constant, really. So I plus I just gives us 2i. And finally, for question E, 8i squared, well, we have 8 multiplied by I squared, which is negative 1, and so we get negative 8. Let's look at some other questions that are going to be to do with simplifying surds. So here we have the square root of negative 4. Let's think about our surd rules. Well, I could write this as the square root of 4 multiplied by negative 1. I could then split this up into two other square roots. So I've got the square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of negative 1. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of negative 1 is I. So this could be written as 2i. This next one, we've got the square root of negative 8. Well, I could rewrite this as, say, 4 multiplied by 2 multiplied by negative 1. And we could write this as the square root of 4 multiplied by the square root of 2 multiplied by the square root of negative 1, which can just be written as 2 root 2i. And finally, the square root of negative 2 is 2 multiplied by negative 1, which is just root 2 multiplied by root negative 1, which is just root 2i. So hopefully this video was useful. If it was, please do like and subscribe, and go over to my channel where I have tons of other maths tutorials. Thanks for watching.